Hello, I'm Zoe Briggs, and you're watching Buckingham News live at 5. Drug testing kits are being offered to students at Newcastle University to check the quality and contents of illegal substances. The idea of the campaign is to change the conversation around drugs on campus. Charlie Parry has the story.
The tests, which cost around £3, analyse powders and pills for harmful additives and chemicals in an effort to make them safer. The university is hoping that the change will make students more likely to come forward if they have a drug problem.
As well as offering drug testing to students, the university has also confirmed that eviction is no longer an automatic penalty for having drugs found in accommodation, a consequence that still exists here at Buckingham.
The changes to policy and the introduction of the drug kits were spurred on by one of the university students, Holly Robinson, who began a society and campaign that sought to start a mature conversation about drug use on campus.
I genuinely don't think that these are going to encourage students to use drugs. We think that the choice to use drugs comes before the choice to use a drug testing kit, because obviously somebody is thinking about wanting to use drugs.
The movement had substantial backing and support from its student union and welfare department, despite worries it may encourage drug use. Here at Buckingham University, however, it is a subject that the welfare department refused to comment on, evidence that whilst progress is being made to tackle the war on drugs differently and at a grassroots level, it is still a fragile subject for some.
The University of Newcastle's new direction for tackling drug use on campus has tested effectively, and while there are still dangers that it may encourage drug use, it may not be long until other universities follow suit. This is Charlie Parry for Buckingham News.
Aylesbury Vale District Council has saved thousands of pounds and halved emissions thanks to a new travel policy. The District Council has also reintroduced a 50% subsidy on local bus routes for its staff. Mino Amakhomi has more.
Aylesbury Vale District Council has saved more than £90,000 and reduced their emissions by half since the introduction of a new travel policy in 2014. The policy, which sees staff using private vehicles reimbursed just 15 pence per mile, encourages employees to make use of the 8 environmentally friendly pool cars it offers.
We updated it in November last year and increased the number of electric vehicles on the fleet and reduced the number of cars totally on the fleet. So we now most of our journeys rely on the use of pool cars and occasional use of daily hire cars.
8 rental pool cars, sourced through Enterprise Car Club, are now provided for employees making short journeys, along with Enterprise Rent-A-Car daily hire cars for longer journeys, while a half-price subsidy has been offered on 4 local bus routes. AVDC are now in talks with other public and private sector organisations to show them how successful a policy this can be. This is Mina Omagomi, Buckingham News.
A talk on President Barack Obama was hosted in the Ondaatje Hall on Monday. The talk centered around his presidency and the effect he had as President of the United States. We sent Vilde Elgin to find out more.
Ashley Hodges hosted the talk entitled Obama's Presidency, and she talked about the inner workings of building Obama's presidency campaign in 2008.
Hodges' job was to build a reliable volunteer base, form local alliances, organize offices, and lay down the political groundwork in the east side of Pittsburgh.
I think that he's perceived more of a progressive than he actually was. He's more of a centrist, actually, if you look at a lot of his views. But again, this is where the campaigning on the left kind of almost hurt on that aspect, because he wasn't actually going to come in and take away all their guns, as they say.
Hodges spoke about her rise from a volunteer to neighborhood leader and the contrasts between Obama and Hillary Clinton's 2008 campaigns.
Love him or hate him, President Obama has certainly been a groundbreaking president for the USA. Let's hope the next one is just as interesting. This is Vilde Elgin reporting for Buckingham News.
2 of the University of Buckingham's economics staff have written papers and chapters in soon-to-be published books. The university's authors comprise a visiting lecturer and the director of the Institute of International Monetary Research, housed in Buckingham. Kushu reports.
A soon-to-be-published book entitled Central Banks at a Crossroads is to feature prominent work from the University of Buckingham's economy faculty. Dr. Juan Castaneda and Professor Jeffrey Wood worked alongside former Bank of England official historian Forrest Kelpie on a chapter for the publication. Dr. Castaneda works here as the director of the IIMR, for whom his research has led to publication alongside other notable experts in the field.
The topic of our chapter is central bank independence, but not just central bank independence for all countries or for all central banks, but for a very selected group of countries, the so-called small open economies.
Professor Jeffrey Wood is a visiting lecturer at the university and has also worked with the Bank of England as an economist and a special advisor on financial stability.
The conclusion we reach is that it's only durable under pressure in a certain kind of economy, social protection as well as purely legal protection.
Already renowned for its economic research and study, the University of Buckingham is clearly a leading player in work in this field. This is Ke Xu, Buckingham News.
A prominent Buckingham road has been forced down to a single lane of traffic due to cars parking along both sides of it. Station Road outside the university's Chandos Road building has been reduced to single-file access throughout this term. Jason Dunn has more.
Students from the University of Buckingham and the Royal Latin School have been warned about parking on Station Road after issues have arisen due to a reduction in single-car width driving as car parks along the main road. Although there are no road markings on this side of the road prohibiting parking, many drivers decided to park on the corner, forcing other drivers to pass one direction at a time. Students and staff at the university have been warned about the dangerous parking on the road after the university complained to the local authorities.
There are two problems here. Number one, it's just dangerous, particularly parking near the corner. Secondly, we have been chasing the matter with the authorities and the police, and so there has to be a real danger that if students do park like this, they are going to be either done for obstructing the highway because they park dangerously, or they might actually be involved in an accident, which obviously is even worse.
Pedestrians are also prevalent along Station Road, it being the site of the university's Chandos Road building, meaning that this parking is also very dangerous for students attending or leaving classes. Despite protestations from the university, parking here remains an issue. Without change, it may only be a matter of time before there's a serious incident. This is Jason Dunn, Buckingham News.
In other news, the University of Buckingham is looking for local historians to help conduct a guided history walking tour of the university as part of the 40th anniversary celebrations on the 16th and 17th of July. The Friends of the University of Buckingham are sponsoring the walk, which will see speakers stationed in the historic buildings around campus recounting the university's history. Anyone who can offer their knowledge, memories, or just wants to help should contact Per Lewis on friends@buckingham.ac.uk. The university's inaugural Higher Education Festival will take place on the 8th and 9th of September this year. The focus of the event will be on universities of the future and how to prepare now. Over 20 guest speakers will take part, including Joe Johnson, the Minister of State for Universities and Science.
We've got the National Union of Students involved, sponsored by the CBI, we hope. They're going to be involved as well. We've got school head teachers and college head teachers coming along to speak. So, yeah, get involved, find out more on the website, and we look forward to welcoming you all.
The third in the series on the constitutional law lectures took place last Wednesday. The lecture by Dr. Jocelyn Scott looked at the impact colonialism has had on constitutions. We sent Talha Mufti to find out more.
The lecture was entitled Change the Constitution and was hosted by Dr. Jocelyn Scott, who is Australia's leading human rights barrister and has served as Anti-Discrimination Commissioner.
The lecture focused on 4 instances where changes were proposed, either succeeding or failing. 2 from Australia, 1 from Canada, and 1 from the United States.
Well, I suppose the problem is that if you get rid of the Constitution, you've got to have something in its place. And as I gave the example of Australia, if the Parliament here were to abolish the Constitution of Australia Act, Australia would be left without a constitution.
Dr. Scott told the audience that since colonial powers in the past had exploited the occupied territories, they now owe it to these countries to help them grow economically, socially, and even make their constitutional laws easy for the incoming migrants.
The effects of colonialism have resonated throughout the world, but despite the atrocities committed during that time, Dr. Scott still believes that there might be a silver lining after all. This is Talha Mufti, Buckingham News.
Saturday marked World Fair Trade Day. The day marks a recognition and celebration of fair trade to help producers in developing countries achieve better trading conditions and to promote sustainability. Scott Stanley reports.
World Fair Trade Day is an initiative that was founded in 2001 by the World Fair Trade Organization, a global network of organizations representing the fair trade supply chain. The initiative falls on the second Sunday of May of each year. The celebration of fair trade is a tangible contribution to the fight against poverty and exploitation, climate change, and the economic crises that affect the world's most vulnerable populations. From 2015 until 2017, WFTO developed an overarching theme for World Trade Day celebrations: Be an Agent for Change. Buckingham gained Fair Trade Town status on 15th of September of 2007 and is currently looking forward to its 9th anniversary. A steering group organizes awareness events and promotional materials in town.
And so when the town council holds events, we normally have a fair trade stall at that as well, and fair trade materials. We've got a notice board or a display board. The town council funded a pop-up banner for us, so we try to be visible at the town events.
Millions of producers and policymakers, businesses, and other contributing organizations and volunteers have all helped the substantial growth of fair trade globally. This is Scott Stanley from Buckingham News.
And now over to sports with Toby Agbaje.
Thank you, Zoe. The University of Buckingham sports teams will cease to train for the time being as we head into exam season. But with sports and exercise being a main factor of relieving stress, what will our students do instead? Samantha Adebayo has the story.
With exams approaching, students across the UK are studying hard and stress levels are rising. One way of relieving stress is through exercise, but for many members of sports societies in the university, this is no longer an option.
Studies show that regular exercise and physical activity produces endorphins, which in return relieves stress. So how do members of the sports team feel about the stopping of sports activities?
I would definitely prefer if we still had practice on, because it's a nice way to take you away from all the revising, but we can still come out here and shoot some hoops where we can.
I think if you wanted to do sport, you could probably take it upon your own time to actually go to the gym and get exercise done.
It's nice to do a bit of sport because it keeps you healthy, but I mean, we have the gym upstairs, so I mean, it's good that we don't have to kind of worry about studies.
I think that it's good to have revision breaks while playing sport throughout the summer periods whilst exams are going on, because it's good to get outdoors and get a bit of fresh air, and especially bond with your teammates and make sure you're socialising at the same time.
Although the university's gym in the Old Town Law Mill is available throughout the week for students, not everyone has a gym membership, leaving many without a relief from the worries of exams.
For non-members of the gym, we have a number of exercise classes, so we do have yoga classes, Tai Chi classes, Pilates classes. We've also recently introduced virtual exercise classes. So you'll find people that have never had membership to the fitness centre suddenly take membership for the fitness centre for the last few weeks, and obviously for them, they're doing so as a means potentially to relieve stress.
And remember, if you're ever feeling down or stressed because of exams, you can always come down to student welfare. Good luck with exams, everyone! I'm Samantha Adebayo with Buckingham News.
The University of Buckingham's men's basketball team faced off against the Milton Keynes Knights in what was the last match of the season. Could Buckingham secure a win? Cameron Hawtrey has the story.
The University of Buckingham basketball team made their short trip to Akeley Wood School for their last game of the season against Milton Keynes Knights. Buckingham started the game fantastically, scoring the first three-pointer, and then went on to gain an even stronger lead as they won multiple points over the opposition throughout the first quarter of the game. They maintained the lead right until half-time with the score at 32 points to 28, but following the late arrival of two key Knights players who made a big impact, Buckingham were unable to hold the lead as the game drew nail-bitingly close towards the final moments. Many players were agitated at some calls from the referee towards the end.
We played a tough game. Unfortunately, the referee wasn't able to call anything. I feel like that played a huge part in the way the game ended. I just got back this term, so we still have a lot of work to do, but I mean, the team's definitely growing.
Buckingham played well as a team, but couldn't quite secure their final win of the season. This is Cameron Hawtrey for Buckingham News.
In other sports news, the University of Buckingham Sports Union may have a new class next term. Several students wish to establish a broadsword fencing society starting from next term onwards. Last week, they held a demonstration during the BSU Sports Day, showing off their skills to onlookers. Fencing is a sport in which two competitors fight using rapier-style swords, winning points by making contact with their opponent. If you wish to join next term, contact the sports office for more information. That's it for the final sports roundup of the term. Now back to Zoe in the studio.
The Woolpack played host to the 5th Spring Art Exhibition at the weekend. The 2-day exhibition turned out to be another successful event displaying artwork from a number of local artists. Karen Iogwe has the story.
Buckingham Art for All held its 5th Spring Art Exhibition last Saturday and Sunday. This year, at the exhibition, more than 100 great artworks have been sold and displayed to the visitors. Buckingham Art for All is a Buckingham-based art group who invites artists of all abilities and those interested in art to meet, share, learn and enjoy art. The not-for-profit organisation offers monthly talks, demonstration trips, tour exhibitions, gallery workshops and competitions and exhibitions of members' work.
We've got lots of new artists, people who haven't exhibited with us before. We had an exhibition in November and so they saw the group and decided that they were interested in joining.
The exhibition saw local residents and art lovers participating and admiring all the artworks. This is Karen Iogwe for Buckingham News.
The craft fair was welcome to the community centre over the weekend. The event saw many local residents participating and admiring various crafts. Tamilore Tayo Oyetibo reports.
The craft fair is organised by Terry Bloomfield, who has been actively involved in craft fair events for the past 7 years. Mr. Bloomfield has been a member of Buckingham Community Centre Association Management Committee and ran the fair for the centre.
Well, they originally started 30 odd years ago on a Sunday. I recently took over in about, 2009, and then I've been running them since. We do about 5 a year.
This year, the exhibition saw about 20 exhibitors participating from Buckingham, Luton, Northampton and Banbury. Each exhibitor displayed and sold handmade crafts and clothes.
We promote through local advertising and through the local advertiser. We do less well in the summer, better in early spring and in the early winter.
The committee members ran refreshments from the kitchen with proceeds from catering, helping to raise money for the Brain Tumor Research local charity in Padsbury. This is Tamara Taitabo for Buckingham News.
Today marks the start of Real Bread Week, a celebration of handmade and artisan breads. We sent Shawin Tan to prove her skills making the perfect alternative dough.
In celebration of Real Bread Week, we'll be making bread with a simple twist. Instead of an oven and complicated baking equipment, we'll be using a rice cooker.
You will need 1 packet of bread mix, 320 milliliters of water or any amount of water that the bread mix requires, some flour, a rice cooker and cling film. Follow the kneading instructions on the mix. I'm using Tesco's crusty white bread mix. First, place the bread mix into a bowl and slowly add water while mixing it well with your hands until it comes into a ball. Slowly adjust the amount of water based on the texture of the dough. Using flat hands, knead the dough onto a clean and flat surface. Knead until it is elastic for around 5 minutes and let rest for another 5 minutes. While waiting, grease the rice cooker bowl with oil or butter to prevent the dough from sticking. Once rested, knead the dough for another 2 minutes before placing the dough ball into the greased bowl of the rice cooker. Cover it with cling film and leave it to rise for 40 minutes or until the dough is double in size. Now, just turn the rice cooker on and put on a timer for 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, take the half-baked bread and turn it over. Let the bread bake for another 20 minutes.
Voila! Enjoy your freshly baked bread and celebrate Real Bread Week. This is Shawin Tan, Buckingham News.
Thank you for watching Buckingham News. We'll see you soon.